Hi everybody, this is Mr. Perry. Thanks for joining us for our very first episode of Mr. Perry's Principals. We're hoping to give you some general ideas of how you can support your students and students how you can do a better job at school throughout the school year, trying to talk about something about once a month. So as we're at the start of the school year, it's September, and so it's time to start thinking about homework help. I like to call this, Mom, I Can't Find a Pencil. So first we got to ask ourselves, why do we do homework? Is it because we like to keep kids super busy? Because we want to torture them? Nope. The reason we do homework is it's a great practice of what you've done during the day. Think about me learning an instrument. If you learned how to play piano at a class, if you didn't practice every day, then when you went back the next day, you might not have improved very much. So the same thing happens with reading, math, science, social studies, all of your learning. If you practice, you get better and better at it every day. The other important reason for homework is it helps you think about what you're going to learn about the next day. Sometimes your teachers may ask you to visit a website or read something in a book, and they want you to think about it so that the next day when it's time to talk about it, you already are kind of an expert. So it's a great idea to do homework every day. Now when you think about it, moms, dads, I know that you've heard this a million times because I hear it at my house. I can't find a pencil. I don't have any paper. I don't have anything to work with. So here's a suggestion I'd like you to make. Take a little bit of time to go make a homework bucket. Now yesterday I went to the dollar store near at school and I was able to spend about $10 for things that I think are pretty important. Let got to have a homework bucket. Now what I'm going to ask you to do, parents, is when you buy one of these buckets, make sure that you let the kids know and that everybody follows the same rule. This bucket is only for homework. That way you'll always have materials around when your students want to work. So, little dollar bucket. In that bucket you've got to put some real important stuff that you can use for homework. First example, you got to have pencils. So I'll put that in my bucket. Older kids, you may want to have a pen. Now all of us make mistakes. You got to have erasers in there. A ruler is a good idea. Not only are you measuring stuff, but you can draw lines, right? That's a good thing to add to our bucket. You might find that there are important words that you find when you're reading in a book or that you're going to want to make sure they stand out. Highlighters are a great thing to add to your bucket. Let's see. Everybody needs paper. And you can go to the dollar store and pick up a pack of paper for $1. So that's always good to have. But if you use a lot of paper, you might feel kind of bad. You say, oh, this really isn't responsible for the planet if I'm using too much paper. So here's a secret tip that I want to share with you. Mr. Perry's kids, they love this. Get a dry erase board. Now I got this one for $1 at the dollar store. I think it's pretty cool for two reasons. On this side, I can practice handwriting, and I need a little help with my handwriting. But better yet, when it's time to do math, I can work here, I can do the answers, I can show my mom or my dad my answers, and then I can erase it and start all over again and not waste a lot of paper. So it's a great place to use or to do your scratch work on. So I know my kids absolutely love their dry erase board at home. So that's one I'm going to add to my bucket. And you can use an old sock just to clean it up. You don't have to have a fancy eraser, but you want to make sure that you've got dry erase pens. Don't use something like a permanent marker on there, because then you'll damage your dry erase board. Okay, now some extra, oh wait, there's one more thing that you've got to have in that bucket. Crayons. You got to add a little color to your work sometimes, and nothing better than a box of crayons. Now the other things that I've got from my bucket kind of maybe go if you want to spend a little bit more, but they're not really necessary, but sometimes they're nice to have. And if you want to put it in your bucket, it makes life a little bit easier. Post-it notes. Lots of us like to use Post-it notes. It's a good way to make a note and stick it in a book or to put it on your homework. Moms, dads, you can write notes to your teacher on there. And then index cards. You can take an index card, you can make flashcards, so you can help your student remember their multiplication tables or maybe vocabulary, different words they need to learn. So this is a great thing to add into your bucket. And then these two are really kind of extras, kind of fun paper clips, and your very own stapler in case you need to put stuff together. with all the extras, you could probably do it for about $14 at the dollar store. So it's a good place to start, and these materials will last you for a good long time. So that's my idea on the homework bucket. But remember, whoever uses the bucket, you got to put the stuff back so that the next person can use it. Okay? Only for homework, not just for coloring and having fun. Okay. Now then, once you've got your bucket, you need to think about where you're going to do your homework. So sometimes kids like to do it on the floor or on the couch. Moms, dads, really talk to your students about finding a good place to do homework that's quiet, but they also gives them a good surface, like a table to work on. If you're lucky and you can find an old used desk, that can be kind of fun. You can decorate it and make it your place to do homework, maybe in a student's bedroom. But what if you don't have a whole lot of space? Well, you might have to use your kitchen table. And that's a good place to work because it's a place where students can write. But here's what we need. It's got to be a quiet place. So moms, dads, you got to remember that when students are working, you should pick a time that's quiet time for everybody to do some work. Even Mr. Perry turns off the Nationals game when it's time to do homework. Some students like to have the TV on and they think, oh, I can watch TV while I'm doing homework. No, they can't. Turn off the TV. There's time later for TV. Also, some students like music. It's okay if there aren't any words. If there are a lot of words, what will end up happening is your student might be thinking about the words instead of the work that they're doing. So if you want to put some music that's only instrumental, maybe classical music. Sorry, kids. You might want to try that as a background. I talked a little bit about time. We want to make sure that you schedule time every day for some work. A little bit of reading, a little bit of practice on what you're doing in school. So moms, dad, this is a good idea for you to dedicate some time too. So at the Peri house, when it's homework time, Mr. Perry does some homework too. So it might be I read something, or I work on paying bills, or I help Mrs. Perry getting dinner ready in the kitchen. Everybody's doing a little bit of work at that time, because it's kind of hard to do your homework when you know that your older brother or sister is playing video games or watching TV. It's really hard to focus on the hard work that they're doing. Now, how long should you spend on homework? Well, little guys like kindergarten through second grade, they probably should only spend about 30 minutes at a time, and they can work up to that. You might find that maybe just 10 or 15 minutes at first is good, and then they can take a little break. Go play a game together, take a walk, go to the park if you have one nearby, or even just have fun and talk. Older students like 3rd through 6th grade, they should be able to work their way up to about an hour of homework. So you might want to start in 3rd grade with maybe 30 minutes, and then every couple of months maybe add a little bit more time. And they'll get that stamina and they'll be able to do it. Finally, moms and dads, I want you to think about all the other activities that kids have. There's dinner to plan, family time, your kids might have sports practice, or maybe even music lessons. They might even get some extra help with their homework from an older brother and sister or a tutor. Try to work all of it in, create a schedule so that you know and your child knows what time they're going to do it. Finally, parents, it's really important for you to think about following up with your students' homework. It just means taking 5 minutes at the end to talk to the kids about what they did. So students, you should be thinking about, what did I do today that was really easy for me? What was hard? What was something new or kind of interesting that I learned about and did in homework? All right, parents, and the other idea is how do you follow up on homework? Something very important that you need to do. It might just take 5 minutes where you sit down with your child and you talk a little bit about the homework that they did. You can ask them questions like, what did you think was really easy? What was hard? Was there something new that you learned about? And then as they talk to you, you can reflect on yourself and, wow, what an interesting thing that they're learning. It'll help you know what they're working on in school. Finally, we want to think about communicating with your teacher. Moms, dads, it's important for you to know that you should be letting the teacher know if your child's having a hard time with something. You can put a post-it note on it, you could initial it, or maybe put a big question mark and let the teacher know that your child tried to do it, but it was really hard. That's important information for teachers to have, because if my kids' teachers know that my children are struggling with something in math, they can give them some extra help in school. So parents, think about giving those teachers notes about things that you're noticing about your child's work. I want to thank you for joining us for our first video. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll see you again next month, but I got a special treat. If any of my Pine Spring Bobcats our students here at Pine Spring come to school and on a piece of paper, any piece of paper, they write their name, their teacher's name, and the word homework. If you turn it into the office by September 30th, I'm going to pick a name. And whoever's name I pick, they're going to take home their very own homework bucket. Thanks again for watching. Have a great time learning. Thank you for helping them at home, and we'll see you soon.